Woza. We bring you Engen Soccer, proudly brought to you by SoccerBeat. I feel empowered because I'm chilling with a man who's done it as a footballer, and now he's a youth coach giving back. All the things that he didn't get, and all the things that he did get. That's what he said to me. He says he's trying to combine those two worlds and making sure the guys are all getting it earlier than he did in terms of opportunities and training. Many hours. He's telling me about hours that boys must kick a ball, how many hours they should be running in a week, all that detail. And Engine Soccer is all about youth football. So this is a man that's perfect for this. Um, Gather around, make sure you hit the subscribe button because with you subscribing, it means you get alerted and notified whenever we drop a video that's important to you. All this stuff is tailor made for you because we listen to you here at SoccerBeat and make sure we deliver according to your expectations. You said you want to talk football, youth football. We got you one of the best up and coming youth specialists, youth coach specialists. We had Tabo Senong on here, Mark. We talk football. We've had many guests. We've had Benson, Brighton, who's done it himself as a youth player. And now he's on the commercial side of things. So they're telling different sides of stories. And Marky, it's all about Champ of Champs. When you play the game in a tournament, you want to lift that trophy, the ultimate trophy, to be called number one and the Champ of Champs. We've seen it throughout the regions, Baba. Everybody's been producing exciting football and young players. What's the feelings currently from your end? Your former team, Cape Town City, is also in the running and probably one of the biggest names, that are still alive in the tournament.
Yeah, it's interesting from Chaga. I think also what is interesting is the fact that big teams, your so-called big teams, are not in the Champ of Champs. It's always nice to have because also you get to see some of the best players in the country. But also we must appreciate the so-called smaller teams that are able to get into such a stage. And also, of course, Cape Town City is part of it. It also shows that not only the elite academies have good talent, but also other small community clubs and community academies are as capable and have, and also they have the talent, because also if you look at it or if you zoom out, most of the players or all the players that are in elite academies, they come from these community clubs and these community academies as well, because this is where the elite academies scout from, so we cannot take what they do for granted. We cannot take their work and the coaches' work and, the support of the community in helping to develop and groom these young men. And I am, excited to see what's going to happen in the next Champ of Champs. Obviously now Cape Town City are the favorites. Chippa United is also involved, so let's see.
I'm hearing that you are clear on Cape Town City, of course, as your former team. You can let us know what you fancy, what you think they've got an edge on a lot of the teams, and why you think they may be favorites to win it. But I hear you're also kind of sneaking in there that there might be another rise of an underdog again. These smaller clubs, as you say, the smaller community clubs. Because hey, even Joburg was surprised by a smaller community club. Durban, Cape Town, even.
No, I think also it's important for the growth of football and for the growth of youth football, for these kind of clubs to experience or to get this experience, because also what Engen does, especially with the Champ of Champs, it gives you a feeling of a professional player, and the traveling, the hotels, playing games, the adrenaline of playing tournaments, the adrenaline of playing in big crowds, the adrenaline of playing with a camera on your face. It gives you this feeling, and this experience. And I think it's important for the community clubs also to have this feeling. I think also it helps the team, but also it helps the players. Obviously not all of us will go through the same route in terms of how we grow and how we develop as players and how maybe we reach elite football. But some will go through the academy route, some will go through the community club route to maybe ABC, NFD, PSL, and some will go from community club straight to Europe. And also, fortunately for such a tournament, there will be scouts, there will be national team scouts, club scouts. So it's an opportunity for them as well, not only to take the next step into the next academy, but maybe to the next step into the national team. I remember when we played Champ of Champs, after the tournament, we had Gabriel Amato and Kosamanyana that went on to play the AFCON, from this particular tournament. So it also shows the importance of these tournaments. Also with the World Cup coming, under 17 World Cup coming, with the under 17 AFCON coming next year as well, of the 2009s, 2010s. I think it's also a platform, it will be a platform for national team scouts to say, is there a surprise package, a nice 2008, nice 2009 player that can come into the World Cup squad, so players also need to understand the value of the tournament.
Abo Zakumi, Matote. Abo Zakumi. Mark, can we get a Zakumi in there? One particular player, young midfielder from Cape Town City, Joshua Taylor, named midfielder of the tournament. What can we expect from this player? Tell us a little bit about his ability. Because, of course, Cape Town City is the biggest team with the biggest profile coming in there. And if they're bringing another Kuka, we need to be first to know.
Special player. Special player. I remember the first day he came, we brought him for assessment. So we had a session with the guy that I used to work with. And then at the end, we wanted to play 11 versus 11 game. So we only had one goalkeeper that day. So I said to him, no, I will stand goalkeeper. Okay. And then he will just see from outside, oversee from outside, and then I'll stand goalkeeper in the other team. And Joshua Taylor was playing as a central midfielder in my team. So when I was playing. So now we are building up, and I give him the ball. Hey, I see the touch, I see the 10. I'm like, okay, interesting. Every time now when I get the ball, I'm like passing the ball to him. Even if there's pressure, boom, the ball to him. Hard passes. I'm testing him, and I'm like, this guy can handle himself, And then after training, I speak to Jendo, the guy that I work with, and he says, I said to him, did you see this boy? And then, can't deny he saw the same boy. And from there, how he developed and how he became better and better with time and with work and, with specialized training, and he's a special player. And I know he's a player that loves Kosamanyana a lot. And I think also is in that level. And fortunately, he was in the AFCON squad as well. And then coming from that AFCON squad, playing the Bay Hill and now playing the Engen and being named player of the midfielder of the tournament, player of the tournament, it also shows how important the process of developing and not trying to bypass certain stages of development. And it's something that also we strived to do at City, and also not only from a technical and a tactical point of view, but also physical point of view, because also we understand the demands of the game, and we had good people that worked, like Utalifo, who was the conditioning coach, performance coach, top guy. He's with the under-20s now. And, the work that he did at the club to help these boys to develop physically, because also, physically it's not only about the conditioning capacity, but it's about the movement, it's about agility, it's about coordination, it's about running mechanism. It's not only about making them fitter or making them run more, but how they run, or in relation to football and in relation to his position as well. And there's a lot of investment that was made in Josh by the club and by the people that surrounded him at the time. And I think the fruits of that labor is showing, and I think also I'm really, really humbled by his growth and I'm looking forward to him. He's been texting me that he's coming to Johannesburg, and how he wants to show and how he wants to show ability. And because also he's a player that he has this confidence. I remember when he went to the national team for the first time, and the coaches, they called him like, no, 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 this boy is old. It cannot be. He cannot be 16. Why is he so mature? Why does he play like this? And I said, because of the investment that is made in these players. And when you do, or when you have the right process in developing players, you get to develop such players. And I'm hopeful that also he will be part of the World Cup squad to represent South Africa as well. And because he has the capacity, he has the ability as well. So I have many things to say about him, because he's my boy, and top player.
Sounds like a player we must all be excited to look out for now. We've all written the name down, Joshua Taylor, and the way you've spoken about him. But what kind of future? What kind of future can we expect for a player like him?
For me, these kind of players are players that I know many people maybe disagree, but they need to move out of South Africa as quick as possible, because also we need a lot of players to go that route. And I remember Arsene Wenger said one day that because Kylian Mbappe has African origins, he says if Kylian Mbappe had grown up in South Africa, in Africa, he wouldn't be the player that he is, because he understands the concept and he understands the investment that the European put to develop young players. Players like him, players like Emil, players like Marilete, players like Tebucho from Chiefs, players like Neo from Chiefs. These are, we also see now with the recent under 17, Paul Malepo, Apelele Majola, Jota, Zazi Kotoi, Matondo. The list is endless of top talent in the country that needs help, that needs to be nurtured and needs to be protected. And I think one of the avenues that we need to take in doing so is to send these players overseas, because also not all of them are going to sign for Sundowns, for Chiefs, for Paris, because there's limited spots in these teams. So creating this European avenue, even now with the Saudi, we have seen it in Ngota and how he has developed. Also now he's playing for the national team. So it also shows how important it is for them to take that step as well from a development point of view, and also understanding the social issues that we have in our country as well, with many things that are happening all around, and for us to protect them, maybe especially the special talent. In my view, I think the special talent needs to be exported so that they can come back and reinvest and also help the national teams as well.
Can he handle the step of going via Chiefs, Pirates, or Sundowns, Joshua Taylor?
He has the capacity, to be honest. He believes in himself so much. I remember when he went for the first camp with the national team, he said to me, "Coach, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make the squad." He has this ability and he has this confidence in him, with a little bit of arrogance, which is good for a footballer, especially now with the demands of the game. And I think for me, he has the capacity he has aspirations of moving to Europe, and he has the capacity for me.
Which player does he remind you of? Because now, Ababatala, they're going to want to, make the comparisons. But which player should people look at to understand what type of player Joshua Taylor is?
He has many elements. I think if you think of Kagiso Dikgashe, a player that was a 6, but also had the capacity to have this box to box. If you look at maybe sometimes Yaya Toure, with the capacity to have the box to box, but also still can play as a 6. If you look at a Andile Jali kind of a profile, he has this, but also I think he's more technical. He's more smarter. He's a big bodied boy, but he can move in the field, coordination and also moving in the field and covering space as well. Strong on the ball, very confident on the ball, but also off the ball, he works so hard and he wins a lot of balls. And it's difficult to find this kind of profile.
So, Mark, and you mentioned Chiefs, Pirates, the big guns not being around, man. Sundowns not being there. Um, the fans will always want to know who are the stars of those clubs, who are the next guys, because Villa guys and Dues and them are all coming, Aboni Klaku. So without them there, there's obviously gonna be a little bit of a worry about disappointment that these clubs are not there.
It's normal, I think, especially in a country that supports these clubs, majority of South Africans. And I think for me, I look at it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity first for South Africans to see and give maybe special attention to other clubs and the so-called small community clubs. Because also, as much as, let's say, I'm a Sundowns fan, I am from Cape Town and Cape Town City is coming. So it gives me an opportunity to support Cape Town City. And even for a Pirates fan that is from PE, is getting an opportunity to watch Chippa United play, to see the talent of the Eastern Cape as well. So I think I see it as an opportunity first for the supporters, but also it's an opportunity for the clubs. How many times are you going to go to Champ of Champs without Chiefs or Sundowns or a big name club? So it's an opportunity for you to explore your team and explore your chances of winning, and hopefully that you win, because it's going to be a good memory for the players as well. Of course, in youth football, winning is not everything. You want players to go through these kind of tournament for them to experience and get experience. I was talking about the professional like experience, but it's an opportunity for them to win the tournament as well. So I think there's an opportunity, so it's just, we have to be positive about this opportunity. And there's a lot of top talent that is out there that I think that even there are talented players that are outside these clubs, you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to it,
These
me
clubs,
personally,
yeah,
to see
yeah,
these players,
yeah.
clubs as well. And there's teams from Limpopo, Free State, Pumalanga. I think it's going to be really interesting to see talent from other provinces as well, because we are not privy to watch football that side. So KZN. So let's hope they will bring a good
To watch
game,
them,
and
yeah,
they're
to watch them.
for sure, for sure.
What about the players themselves, Mark? Because also the players are probably excited to play against these big clubs, and now those big clubs are not there. Yes, they can fancy themselves their chances of winning the tournament, but the big things about being discovered by these clubs.
No, for sure. Even when I was a player, when you say next week you play against Chiefs, you don't want to get injured and you don't want to lose the opportunity to play at B or to play at Pipe or to play at Orlando Stadium, because you want these guys to see you. And for sure, I think it's any player's dream, especially young players, to play against these teams, because most of the time you see them on TV, you see these players on TV, and you see these clubs and these jerseys on TV or newspapers or whatever the case is. And maybe there will be disappointment, but again, I said it's an opportunity for them as well, because I know for sure, all these clubs will bring their people to come and watch with undivided attention, and also it's an opportunity for them to be seen. Also, sometimes when you play against these teams, sometimes you want to do extra, you want to do more, and then you end up doing less, and you end up making a lot of mistakes because you want to improve, you want to do this and you want to do that. So maybe there will be less pressure on the players to perform, because they don't have, or maybe they don't have this pressure to play against Chiefs, Sundowns, or Pirates. So it could work, in their favor as well, not to have these clubs, and to lessen the pressure of the tournament as well, and for them to play their normal game, so that guys that are watching from outside can see their true potential as well. So this is what I'm hoping for.
That's the best part, is that even if Chiefs, Pirates, or Sundowns, or a club from overseas won't be there physically, they always send a scout. So there's always going to be someone watching. That's the one thing that should be motivation for the Floyds.
No, for sure.
Now, Mark, Mina, because now I'm sitting at home, and I see all this talent coming through. Um, but we're also seeing there's a type of talent that's also, coming out of Mzansi at the moment. I don't know whether it's a fluke or it's just luck. You know, what kind of work is being done for us to be seeing these kind of exciting players coming out?
Well, there's different processes for different clubs, and I think one of the models that has been done now, especially in Cape Town, where I'm coming from, is players playing in age group up. What does this mean? If maybe you're under 14 or you're 14 years old, but you play under 16 football, and then if you're 16, you play under 18 football. What does this help you with? It helps you to accelerate your development, to play against bigger boys, to play against quicker boys, and now it forces you, and the game context forces you to man up and to raise your level, and automatically, without any coaching, without any instruction, but the intensity of an under 16 game is different to an intensity of an under 18 game. So that intensity on its own, it raises also your capacity as well, even from a physical point of view. I think this is the first thing that we did at City as well, is to play players at the age group. And also, this is when earlier in the year or in the season, it's difficult. But 2 months, 3 months of them playing these games, them understanding the level and getting used to the level and adapting to the level with their talents, it helps them now to be ahead of their time. Now you have a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old that plays under 17 or under 19 football or under 18 football. You know what I mean? So by the time he reaches 18, you would have like 3-4 year experience of playing in that. And now this informs the training sessions that you do. As much as you will do your basic technique, but it won't be as basic because now you have to catch up with the level. So now your technique training will be a little bit advanced. Okay. Yes, it will still cater for the basic needs of the game, but for it to be a little bit advanced, because also sometimes, especially with the isolated training technique, is that there are some bad habits that players pick up from these kind of training sessions. So you have to put it also to more game context. So even if you are doing passing, it's not only about passing now. It's going to be passing. It's going to be opening your body. It's going to be this. It's going to be this in one action. Yes, we are talking about passing. Yes, you want to help with passing. You want to help with maybe body posture. You want to with the speed. There's more elements that you bring into that one action for the player to accelerate his development. Instead of pass and easy pass, easy control, easy. But now, because you want to accelerate it, now you put a little bit of pressure of the player, where you say also the two touch. If he's playing two touch, the two touch must be quick. It should feel like a one touch. So instead of putting touch and then pass, then it's touch and pass. So you bring these other elements that increases the intensity, but also increases the pressure. And with that, it helps them to develop a little bit quicker. And also now he becomes a player that is also more aware, because now also you have to include scanning in that moment. You have to include body posture in that moment. Where do you pass the ball? Now there's details it's not only about a pass getting into your teammates, but where is it? In his right foot? Is it with his left foot? Does it go into space? Do you pass it to him? Because also this pass must have information. So, and also from now a cognitive point of view, you are developing a player to think with the pass as well. So now when he makes the pass, he's not just making that pass, he's making that pass into a particular position, or a particular space, or a particular, is it into space, is it long, is it short, is it, so these things needs to be always there for the players to understand. And that's why also within the team training sessions, they should be isolated or maybe individual details that are being put, because at the end of the day, football will always have obstructions. We'll always have a player coming. We'll always have a player moving. We'll always have a pressure on the ball. So you have to create this game context for players to still develop their technique, but within a game context, within a team a training, you still have your own individual maybe training that for that particular player for whatever particular reason. Maybe it's a striker that needs to make more vertical runs or half moon runs, or whatever the case is, and then you incorporate that in your team, in how your team will train, but you incorporate those individual technique training that maybe players need or maybe players need to work on. So it's about creating that game like environment that is, as much as it's going to be like a basic technique, but you still have a player have to imagine himself doing this in the field of play. So how does he imagine him doing, by bringing these elements, this pressure, objects moving, players moving, and pressure on the ball, head up, and body posture, and all of these elements for him to help with his development. Because sometimes you watch high level football and you see a midfielder that does not scan, does not open his body, that passes bumpy balls, and wrong body posture to receive, so all of these things, wrong foot to receive, back foot instead of a front foot, and then you miss a lot of moments. Because when you watch elite football, especially like Champions League, you see how these guys, one, they always receive the ball alone. They always, the first touches, there's a message with the first touch. There's an intention with the first touch. It's either it sets him up for the second pass, or it sets him up to drive with the ball. So these are things that we need to bring into our context in South Africa and help our players with all the talent that they have. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So it's a process. I know I've said a lot, but it's a process.
I know, and you giving me the final question to say, if the world is watching, what type of player, what kind of player can they expect coming through from South Africa? What kind of player are you guys going to produce now that you're going to be known for? I mean, Brazil, everybody can touch a ball, even a defender has skill, So, what are you guys cooking? What kind of players can we expect?
It's all nice to look at it at Mzansi, but at the end of the day, now the under-20s are playing the World Cup. So the under-17 are going to play the World Cup soon. Bafana is going to play AFCON. Hopefully they qualify for World Cup next year. So we have to look at it in a more global stage. Where is football headed? And with the type of now tactics that are being implemented, with teams now employing a lot of high pressing, and compactness, there won't be a lot of space to play. So players that cannot handle the ball are gonna suffer. Even if you're a centre back, even if you're a goalkeeper for that matter. We have seen it with teams using the goalkeeper to build up from the back and to create chances. We have seen Ederson making that long pass into Haaland to score. We have seen even with Arsenal, Raya making that long pass into Saka or Madueke or whoever, so there's that element as well. But also, there should be a big emphasis on individual development. Because with all these spaces so compact and so small, it requires now players to be able to handle their 1v1 battles. Meaning that from a defensive point of view, 1v1 defending, you have to be very, very strong 1v1 defending. Because also, not only the defenders, but also the strikers. Why? When teams are building up from the back, if one of your players in your first line of confrontation is not doing his work and not strong defensively to press, it means that your team will always have a -1. So with the level of players that have been produced now with high technical ability, any advantage is an advantage. It's a disadvantage to also the opposition. So once you have one player that is not doing his job defensively, even in the front line, or in the first line of confrontation, it means that these teams will always have an extra player and an extra player and extra player. And once you have all these +1 in all the phases, you are bound to be killed. Because also, if you look at how Inter Milan played and how even Thiago Motta developed his teams, he used a lot of his center back to step into midfield, to step into offensive positions, even to the final third, in final third entries as well as center backs. So this means that if the striker is not continuing to chase or to defend against his center back, there will always be an extra player in midfield, and then it becomes now like a domino effect where if one player is down and then everyone else is down, because when the other one jumps to defend this extra player and then the other one is open. When the other one jumps, the other one is open. So now we also need to, cognitively, we need to develop players that can see these moments, players that can understand this moment and also wait for this moment sometimes, because sometimes we rush to make the pass, and whereas that you can maybe carry the ball a little bit so that you attract this pressure so that you can find the next line and you can find the extra player as well. So individual development of players would be very, very key, I believe. I think also it's been like that now also in the global space. Players need to be developed individually, but also a striker cannot defend like a center back, but in his territory, he has to defend like a striker, like pressing, front foot defending, So, so this is going to be very key to develop these individual attributes and make them better, and also understand what is the global stage of football is going. And this is important. It's not about South Africa and developing players that will play in South Africa. What does it help with, when you want to develop players to go to Europe to play Champions League? The last time we had like Benny McCarthy, that played in that stage and won it. I think we need a lot of players in that stage, because we still speak about Benny McCarthy today. We still regard him as one of the best strikers. And when was the last time he kicked the ball? So it also shows how important for these players to go and play in that stage. Benny is a hero in Portugal. He's a hero in England. He's still a hero in Spain itself, Celta Vigo as well. So it gives also our players this global image. Pesitao have this element, and so I'm hopeful that we will produce these kind of players and for the benefit of the country and South African football and African football as well.
I don't know if you hand over certificates, but here's mine to sign. This was class in session by Mark Mayambela. Engen Soccer proudly brought to you by SoccerBeat.
SoccerBeat, what?